What's up, gamers, and welcome back for more WotC-20. Today's gameplay is going to be Escargot vs Machamp, two decks that are fairly new to the format. Machamp, often talked about, rarely seen, so we'll see how this goes on the debut for it. In opening positions, it's going to be an Igglybuff versus a Sentret. Cyndaquil on bench, and it looks like Machamp is going to get the first turn. We're going to see a Trader of a Machamp directly in. See if I can... I think that was a Terraforming Machamp from Expedition. Oh no, that was the Machoke. Okay, so that was the Punch and Kick Machoke. So we'll probably talk about that later, but Trader to bring out a Cleffa makes a lot of sense. Sentret in this position could still attack the Igglybuff though, since I don't know if we'll see a retreat out of the position. No Iggly up for Escargot, so that could be a big deal. So Trader resolves.
Just sort of a flabby boy that is made of muscle.
E down on the Sentret, so we will see probably a tackle here. And a Traveling Salesman. So that's supported for a turn, but Traveling Salesman will allow two tools, up to two, to come out of deck into hand for the Sentret side here. So we do see a Strength Charm, so Sentret could take out the Igglybuff, a second Strength Charm as well. We'll be curious to see if there's any gold berries in this deck later on. That would make sense with a high HP body like Machamp. But for now, two Strength Charms staring down an Igglybuff. Not a great combination. So, a little bit of shuffling.
Yeah, especially with a Flysaur.
Yeah. Plus a Strength Charm.
And it will go to the active, Strength Charm number 1. Don't think we'll see another and a tail, so no prize off the first turn there. You can't attack first turn in WotC. And we'll see what happens with this Sentret. You're probably not going to see a DCE retreat. You're probably not going to see Cleffa eke away a Strength Charm hand you just went to go get, but Fan Club out of the gate, very important from Escargot's side. Don't want that Sentret racking up a donk here. And we see a Cleffa come on. And probably we'll also see a Slugma if I had to guess.
Don't you just hate it when the four lands?
Yep, and there's Slugma. Okay, so bench setup going fine on the fire side here.
I just realized these are both.
We'll see if there is a energy attached for turn to get Cleffa to eke for free against a Sentret, but you'll have to be careful doing that, because that Cleffa could immediately go to the bin next turn. Fairly aggressive start for the Machamp side.
Italian, German, Japanese, and English. That is it. Oh, maybe Spanish. There was no French.
There was.
No.
I have a French friend though.
Not Skyridge. I did a lot of research to try. I researched for like a week trying to find it.
Usually I just ask Connor, admittedly, if something is a foreign language for a type, because he's like
No, I
hyper focus.
I did order an
Pardon the shuffle break here. Alright, looks like there is energy in hand, so we could go into Eek. Also an Oracle in the hand, could play it slow. Alright, fire to bench on Cleffa, that makes the most sense.
Not yet. I'm Elm.
And an Elm before the Eek, that is also a different language Elm. We do allow multiple print runs for cards in this format. Different language is acceptable.
Might as well Elm first. I'm scared to play the Megaton deck.
And just in case you haven't seen enough shuffling, Elm always introduces quite a bit of shuffling. So Elm goes to bin, worth noting that there will be no more items played this turn, or trainer cards I should say. Items for you standard people.
Nope. I don't think so. There's no room on the bench for them. I want to have 3 Electrode, a Dodrio, a Raikou, and a Magneton.
And it sounds like we're talking about lightning decks in shop, so whenever this Elm resolves, we will get on with the match.
Is this match turn 1?
That's your L.
I know.
Yes, that's your turn 1.
It's like, what? Can I start?
Turn 1 in an elm, and it's taken us 5 minutes. Pretty standard for the format. Early turns can be very important, and therefore a lot of decision making. And obviously the decision to elm has paid off. Now there's a full bench, 2 Slugma, 2 Cyndaquil, looking very well on setup. And finally we end with an Eek. So that elm was worth basically a second fan club. And now we see a Machamp come down, a Furret come down, a DCE come down, and the other Strength Charm come down. But another Tails means that there are no prizes taken yet. Baby rule, hard to flip a heads when you can't flip a heads. Now this Machamp is also a punch and kick Machamp like we saw for the Machoke earlier, I think. No, the Machoke was punch and mega kick, but this Machamp is just punch and kick. DCE for 20, it's from the Rocket set, 50 HP, pretty good. And kick is 1 fighting, 2 colorless for 30.
And then we have like a mod where you can play Magic. So throwing, there's no
Lava.
Oh, it's definitely possible.
Quilava comes down, so that's the first Evo of the turn. Quilava being the E-Reader version, there's only one of them. 70 HP, and you'll see Super Cinch for 20, Fireless and Colorless flip for burn, otherwise Tackle for 30 off of 3 colorless, and a Trader. Probably going to see this turn into a Escargot if I had to guess, and it is. Escargot comes down, that's an E-Reader Escargot. If you've been watching videos, we've seen him plenty recently. Eruption and Firestream will discuss if they come into play here.
Alright, looks like I am not the guy who rolls it. Wait, can I call who's gonna get higher in the bet? No, we're just rolling them off. Whoever gets higher gets to keep them. Stop getting closer.
In a grip of 5 right now, so probably not too many more decisions left. I'm wondering if there's an attach for turn.
I bet Travis is gonna win. Alright, you roll first.
See some equips coming down, likely onto the Escargot line since that is the main attacker. In a computer search, makes sense if you can keep eking until that Cleffa gets taken out for a prize.
Slug.
We see one of the primary attackers, a Slugma discarded, along with a Strength Charm. So usually Strength Charm gets slammed down on the board pretty quickly when it's in hand and sticks around. Looks like they didn't want to discard a Town Volunteers with that comp search. And now this will most certainly take a minute. Usually comp search is a great time to look at your deck, see what's prized, figure that all out, and then ultimately grab the card you need based on board state. And this board is looking pretty full.
Don't recommend copy. Yeah.
Or Desert Shaman.
Yeah.
It's funny, I actually didn't.
Now, double baby tails for the attacks from Sentret / Furret now means that the hand size for Machamp is also looking pretty small. Of course, there is a Cleffa, so you have to wonder if an energy is being clutched to save for that Cleffa if Furret comes out of active.
Actually, it might benefit you as well, but Shaman might actually be my better bet because I haven't played energy this game.
You never actually get to like keep stuff when they want
Now, considering there was a Town Volunteer in the hand,
stuff like that.
it doesn't look like the other card was an energy card either. So a little difficulty getting energy down for Escargot. Complete opposite problem for Machamp.
Right, yeah, so sometimes that happens where
And Furret's ability Scavenge isn't really going to be useful here either for the Machamp side if the hand size is that small. Or rather, ability Scavenger Hunt, not Scavenge, but we abbreviate. It looks like we're going to see a Desert Shaman, so both players will shuffle their hands in and draw 4. We'll see how that pays off. Not a huge shaman to hit the opponent with. If anything, Machamp is probably gaining cards from this exchange. Hopefully it's a good 4 we'll see for both sides.
And yeah, I don't want these right now.
But Escargot looks desperate for energy, makes sense. I would say though, having an attach this turn when you have Cleffa up, probably okay to just eke. At some point your opponent will flip a heads on the baby rule, and then you have a fresh hand of 7. So missing that 1 attach per turn, maybe it will matter, we'll see. Not a ton of pressure from Machamp, wouldn't have minded seeing their small hand just work against them for a while here. There's an energy right off the top, right back into that Town Volunteer. possibly 2 of the same cards that they already had, but at least 2 fire energy coming back. So
Fire here.
we'll see that attached to Machargo. And we'll certainly see Shaman into Eek. So Eek was going to happen anyway. Comp Search was discarding 2 just for Shaman to find an energy. That's a big penalty there. And Machamp has now evolved its Machop into a Machoke, and a Fan Club comes down, so now both benches will be super full. That was the Machamp we saw traded in earlier. Sorry, that was the Machoke we saw traded in earlier. Another Machop comes down, that Machoke. Punch for 20 is a DCE, and Mega Kick for 50 is 2 fighting and a colorless. So 80 HP, good body size, and we see a Magby. That's a fun one. If you're not familiar with Magby, Sputter will toggle all the abilities on board for a full round of turns. It was slightly errated for muck interactions back in the day. You can read all about that on the WotC-20 website.
It is an attack.
Does damage and everything.
Alright, supporter for turn, but there's only a couple of cards in hand here. Looks like there might not be energy either, hard to tell. Not sure if that fighting energy came down from a choke this turn or not. And another Tails for the baby rule. That's worth a dice throw. I think that was 3 in a row. Sounded like it could have been even 4 in a row, but 10 minutes in, no prizes, pretty standard. Usually that steamrolls out of control later on.
Next time I'm in, I'll buy it. I see it a couple weeks later. They're like, oh no, it's gone. I'm like, well, you know.
And a Machargo comes down as well as a Typhlosion, so now the Evo lines are looking very strong, and a Quilava, so 3 Evos.
That was quite the eat.
Pretty good.
I'm gonna use Typhlosion.
Given energy on board, Heat Up from Typhlosion will be immediately applicable here. So if you're not familiar, Heat Up once during your turn before you attack, you can count the total amount of energy attached to all of your Pokemon versus your opponent's. If your opponent has more total energy cards attached, so DCE only counts as 1, you may search your deck for 1 fire energy and attach it to only your benched Pokemon. So lots of caveats there, but it's going to matter here. Machargo now has 2 attaches. Would be surprised if we didn't just see an Eek. Baby Fliptails have been really creating a lopsided board state, but Machamp honestly not doing the worst job at setting up. Plenty of energy on board. Looks like 3 total attaches for each side right now. We'll keep an eye on that with regards to Heat Up and the Typhlosion. Typhlosion as well, no slouch for attacking. 50 damage on Super Singe will then flip for a burn. That attack requires 2 fire, 2 colorless. So we've yet to see any DCEs come down from Machargo's side, but Machargo also leverages them. Looks like that was a Strength Charm attach. But DCE will start to matter because Machargo is just a DCE away from Firestream. And a little Hampeep, 2 Typhlosions, a Machargo, and a Copycat. Looks remarkably useless, so I assume this is an Eek for the end of the turn.
But I want to start doubling up. And actually, do I have Typhlosion? I have 4 energy out.
So you're
Yeah.
Alright, and pass back while Eek resolves. Lots of shuffling, so Machamp will be able to take turn here. Quite a bit of thinking for a small hand. Looks like we're reading Firestream here, so for the folks at home, Firestream, you discard 1 fire energy to use the attack, and if the opponent has any benched Pokemon, deal 10 to each of them. Do not apply weakness or resistance for the bench, but Strength Charm will bump that 10 up to 20. There's also the fact that Firestream just on its own, without any help, will deal 60.
Aren't as concerned about having like the boss and things that actually want to like plug them in and hit the power. I definitely see a split.
Big turn here for Machamp, it looks like, deciding what the 1 card will be there. That's almost being plopped down.
companion has to be on the bench. I can only put energy to the bench with that type.
And a full hand off of that Eek, so even if you knock out the Cleffa here, it's not likely that a second Cleffa will immediately be needed for Typhlosion.
That wanted like all of the weird N64 variants, like it's definitely on the list, but like I wouldn't.
Looks like we're scavenger hunting. I think 2 cards went in. And a deck peep with scavenger hunt from Furret as well. Have to imagine that might be used for retreating.
Oh, basic energy. I saw this guy.
Oh, no, I heard it.
I want the game, sealed games get weird to do. Don't see a lot of N64 sealed.
If Machargo does get an attack off next turn, considering the Strength Charm, that would one-shot the Furret. So the question is, do you leave Furret in? Forgo having Scavenger Hunt available, but you also have no hand. Alright, and energy removal will push that hypothetical out by a turn. Although counting energy on board...
To the Cleffa?
Yeah, that'll still push it out even with heat up from Typhlosion mattering here, so...
Do you want me to shuffle again, or can I just go ahead?
Eking, that's the first heads we've seen from that side of the table today. And a fresh 7, so we'll see how this stabilizes things. Pass back to Machargo.
Start with Trader.
Nice Legendary Collection Trader, putting back in a Vending Mime. We have seen that matter before. This will not be that kind of matchup, though, unless...
Let him come play.
There's no room for you on the bench, Mime.
I don't think Mime would even matter for...
You know what I have room for?
Yeah, no Psychic Res on Furret. The Sentret, maybe. But if Mime's active, it also doesn't have its ability on, so... Don't see that mattering much this game. So, full board from Machargo's side. That second Typhlosion down is obviously not E-Reader. It's from Neo Genesis. There are 2 Typhlosions from Neo Genesis, so also known as T17. This Typhlosion has Fire Recharge. Once during your turn, you flip a coin. If heads, you can take a Fire Energy from your bin and attach it to any Fire Pokemon, including your active. So this is my personal favorite Typhlosion. I like it more than a Heat Up one. They both have 100 HP. Looks like, I assume that was a heads for recharge. Yes, it was. But that Neo Genesis Typhlosion has its own attack for 4 fire, pretty heavy, but 60 damage, flip a coin. Otherwise, it's on heads, it's 80 and 20 to Typhlosion. So probably not going to see that this turn, but if you've never seen that Typhlosion before, the attack is 4 fire for 60. Flip a coin if heads, it bumps up to 80, and Typhlosion takes 20. Oh boy, it looks like a Gust is coming out to take in a Machamp from bench with no attaches. This is where you can see the damage from Machargo really stack up. If you're looking down, let's see. Firestream will definitely take out the Machamp. And then putting 10 across the bench means that you wouldn't even need Strength Charm to Firestream down Furret, but you still would for Machoke.
It sure does take a trainer slot.
Yep. And yeah, I'm going to attack for Firestream.
Alright, Firestream will give us the first prize of the game. You would have thought that it would have been from the Machamp side of the table, that first prize. But that's the fun part with WotC. Show up enough times and your opponent will hit tails.
That's a shame. ER.
This one?
Another energy removal comes down from Machamp, just to slow things down here. Machargo is pretty fire resilient with the 2 different Typhlosions on bench, and we see another attached to the Machoke, but no Machamp yet. Copycat for a pretty good size. Looks like maybe it was 5 or 6. Looks like 5. And that does give us a hand peep. I see a DCE in there. We'll see when that comes down. I see that league stamp on the copycat. That's fun. There's the Machamp. Okay, so decision time. Let's see. What kind of attaches do we have here? It can use either attack based on the attaches. We'll see if it comes in instead of the Cleffa. Oh, and maybe we don't actually see it immediately evolved. But that was the Skyridge Machamp.
Do you eke away the champ? Or you furred away the champ? To get what you need, and then you try to eat?
Alright, it looks like Furret's being used here. We'll see if that Machamp was kept in hand or not. I'd be surprised if it wasn't. Escargot does only have 80 HP. Machamp has 120.
I'm going to look for...
And that Skyridge Machamp also has an ability called Immunity that prevents all effects of opponent's attacks done to Machamp.
Okay.
First attack, fighting colorless, drag off, choose a Pokemon on your opponent's bench, it becomes active, deal 20 to it.
Wait, one more time.
Looks like that was just an eek.
But without the damage plus.
Worth noting that Machamp could have come in, and for Hurricane Punch, you flip 4 coins and deal 30 for each heads. That would have been a pretty big tempo swing, but the way that coins have been flipping for Machamp, I can understand why maybe that isn't the luckiest you're feeling.
Fighting colorless, flip 4 coins, 30 for each head.
Okay. Yeah, that's pretty strong.
So, not what I needed.
No.
Hopefully.
No, if you just kill the Vegas, you're just leaving me to put my mags back up and start smashing stuff. Or melting it. Okay.
Alright, and that took a minute.
Alright, we're going to try Typhlosion.
But Typhlosion is now going to use its ability, I think. Or are they going to heat up first? Yeah, heat up first makes sense. No reason to recharge and take away your ability to leverage heat up.
Yeah. Fire here.
Remember, heat up has to attach to a benched Pokemon.
Now, this Typhlosion.
Fire recharge now is going to be a heads.
Someone's got to roll.
And that can go to any fire Pokemon, so that will go to the active Escargot. And we have yet to see an attach per turn. Or the from hand attach for turn. We know there's a DCE in there.
Thinking about going for it?
What now?
Thinking about going for it?
Now, if there's a Strength Charm in hand, Eruption will hit 30, regardless of what gets discarded off the top. Oracle can also guarantee that Eruption will go for 40, but you still have to hit through the Baby Rule here. So we'll see if the Baby Rule is kind to the Machamp side.
Because I really want to get that out of my hand, because I want to use Copycat. So I'm going to do that.
And a Cyclone to active.
Well, Cyclone Crocs.
Alright, so
That was where that was going.
Machamp gets to pick which benched Pokemon becomes active there. Makes sense to toggle between the two babies for the Baby Rule. Not much of an option for Magby to do anything too crazy here, though.
I mean, unless I draw one of my 4 custom wins in Copycat.
Now, this will be a pretty good-sized Copycat because Machamp's side did eke, so this is a Copycat for 7, always a good response. And we've still only seen a single prize taken, so I assume we're going to see a slew of them pretty quickly when things crack open. Currently, the game state is relatively locked, even though we haven't seen any big attacks from Machamp's side.
Did you?
Very close.
Okay, so which one did you get?
The one that you didn't want me to get.
Gus?
The only time that I rolled tails.
Alright, I see 2 DCEs now, and an Oracle, a Quilava. Hard to say. Looks like a Gust. Yep, that's a Gust coming right out. Alright, and another prize taken. This time it was, again, Fire Stream. The 10 bench damage from the previous Fire Stream chipped down the ferret so that a Strength Charm was not needed to knock this one out.
Oh.
And now there is 20 on that Machamp.
It's actually the one that you wanted.
Yeah.
Got it.
Alright, let's talk about Machamp. That Machamp is from Expedition, and it is... Actually, it looks like we'll resolve this fan club first for a Machop and a Sentret, see what gets benched. Okay, both of them get benched. You don't have to bench 2 for fan club. You can always just bench 1. And another Cleffa, so full benches looks good. But this Machamp, Expedition, has Terraforming. Once during your turn, before attacking, you may look at the top 4 cards of your deck and arrange them as you like. It gets turned off if Machamp is affected by a special condition. So Terraforming allows for some pretty interesting lines. We'll see how it goes here. I assume that's what they're doing right now, unless this is a bin check. Yeah, this is a bin check, I think. Yep. And since it's in another language, that Machamp also has an attack called Iron Fist for 2 fighting and 2 colorless. You count the number of Pokemon in play with damage counters on them, flip a coin, and if heads, that attack will do 50 plus 10 more for each Pokemon that is damaged. So pretty good against a spread deck. Machargo dealing damage to everyone will power up Iron Fist.
And you can reprogram them?
Does the damage to the lights?
This order.
And I do believe that Machamp itself will count towards that counter, so right now it's 50 flip for 80. Which is ironically exactly what E-Reader Nidoking's attack is. Looks like they're looking up a translation right now. Keep in mind there's also a Strength Charm there, so it's actually 60 flip for 90 in this scenario. So, if this Machargo survives the turn,
Okay.
It's a knockout.
it's a knockout. Very big turn for Machamp.
Cool.
And the first prize for them coming way later than anticipated.
We can do that.
And Cleffa comes up for Machargo, so now lots of momentum, a lot of energy off the board there too. Of course, Heat Up Typhlosion will help stabilize that. We know there's a DCE, or I think 2 DCEs in hand for Machargo, so you could... Alright, that was a roll for Fire Recharge on the Neo Genesis Typhlosion, but Heat Up will put a fire onto Machargo, then you could go straight into a DCE for a Fire Stream here. And that Machamp has a format large 120 HP, so not being able to take it out when it was a Machoke with only 80, it gets a pretty big bump there.
Turn.
And there's the DCE,
Strength Charm.
and there's a Strength Charm, so fully powered up Machargo just like that. That's the glory of Typhlosion on bench. But there's no way to chip this Machamp down efficiently. It's gonna look like a 2-shot no matter what. And if you do Fire Stream the Machamp,
Like the old
you run the risk of really
the modern one will
powering up
have
Iron
the,
Fist.
But they might have the classic ruling listed as a separate thing. Like,
Oracle.
yeah, I would check Bulbapedia first, just
Worth noting here,
if you go to like,
if Fire Stream does happen,
Bulbapedia, that might be your Google search right there.
you're looking at
I'm doing
a
Oracle.
double knockout just on the bench because that Cleffa and Magby are at 20.
Let's see what happened here. That's okay.
Oracle crafting the top 2 cards of the Machargo deck right now as we speak.
Top.
You could come in and Eruption. But if you dangle Escargot like that just to make sure that you can knock out the Machamp the next turn, Iron Fist right now on a heads flip is still going to be doing pretty good damage. In fact, it would be a knockout on a heads against the second Escargot. So we'll see how that goes. You can see now why Machamp wanted to pivot out of the Skyridge line, put that back in the deck with Furret way earlier in the game, and waited to find the Expedition Machamp.
Okay, Justin, the special condition TCG page on Bulbapedia under confusion does have it. It is the second paragraph that contains the original text.
Basically this, with the
And we are taking a moment here.
Under the highlighted one. Yeah. Because the highlighted one that you have is the current ruling. Yeah. It's 30 damage. In the paragraph that starts with the current description of Confused was introduced in 2003, that's the right paragraph.
Do you want to cut before my Oracle resolves? Oracle puts those here. I am going to retreat.
Alright, it looks like we will see that Escargot come in. These will be some big flips here.
That's for certain. And 70 here.
Oh, right, Fire Stream, I forgot, is unconditional. There's no babies active, so that's just going to knock out 2 of them. The way that the damage counters will sit on board, though, there is still the potential for Iron Fist to hit heads and knock this Escargot right back out. So, a little incorrect on my part earlier.
He was at 20, so now he's at 90.
You put out.
Yep.
Big.
Oh, did I miss something there?
I'm saying anything you put out to beat a sword with.
Um,
And it wouldn't fluff up. Executor was
Finder.
These 2 are dead.
okay, they figured it out. Whew.
Yeah.
Don't forget to prize up.
I get a lot of prizes next turn if I spread.
Yes.
Finder, I'm
Yeah.
And now worth noting that Cleffa has 20 on it. That's pretty meaningful. Seeing what's getting item findered here.
And I'm like, I don't want to hit Dodrio and then.
I'm findering for trader. Discarding.
Finder for trader. Let's see what gets discarded. A DCE and an Iggly buff, I believe, were put in the bin. You hate to see DCE put out like that, but
My hand for the rest of the game was.
desperate game state right now.
Pokemon Center. And
Nope.
then any custom. I'm like,
Should have checked that first.
In that pile.
And I'm like, if he gets to the point where like there's 5 damage, I'll just.
Alright, so it looks like trader was an attempt to find Furret, and it looks like Furret is missing. So 5 prize cards. Furret could easily be in there. We know that one is in the bin. Probably only runs a 2/2 line in this deck, as it is a supporting mon.
Yeah.
So it's
It's
plus
like, it
10.
just slows me down.
So Mime comes out instead. That's tough.
Then
90
eventually gets to
heads,
the point where it's like,
50
okay, you're out of your full dropping.
Which would end the game. In your
50 of tails, certainly.
Terraform.
Well, I mean, as long as I can.
Alright, terraforming. So we'll get to that attack at some point. It will be a big head's turn, or a big tail's turn.
Big flip.
It's a game.
That's the game. Good game.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. You have.
Yep, looks like we're gonna see a scoop. Yep, we'll just see a scoop here.
So, and you're behind on energy, right? As you before, yeah.
Well, that doesn't matter because that can only put to the bench.
2 of them are super needed in this deck.
So even if I'm behind on energy, I can put an energy.
Listening to the dialogue here to try to figure out the scoop logic.
You can do it all.
But, alright, based on what was in deck and in bin,
One of my
sounds like they will be picking up. So thank you for watching. Good finals game, good debut for Machamp in shop. I think it was a 2-in-1 deck that day, so
Strength Charm,
we will catch you next time.
Well, that's my first 3-0 since the first time I brought this deck out.
It's good deck.
Yeah, it feels good with the current changes.
I like to think that Champ also feels really good.
Yes. Champ feels really strong.
Kind of got a little.
You got a slow start there.
Didn't help that I flipped tails like 9 billion times.
Yeah, you
Against,
didn't kill a single baby.
It's okay. I was just meet me by me failing my sleep flips and baby flips, so I got that.
Oh wow.
He one-shot all of my dash moves before I could make them counters.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right.
There was nothing left to do anyways.
Yeah.
All right.